Hello everyone, I'm Duke James. This is Fez 3.0. In the last couple episodes, we started conquering some of West Africa. We've formed a nice little base in between Mali and these Eastern African countries. So I can use that to build off. This should be episode 50, so what I'm going to do for this episode is actually do a review episode. So I'm going to look at some of my provinces, look at some map modes, and do a dive into where we've been, where we're going, look at the world a little bit, and then go from there. So if you like numbers, this is your episode, you numbers nerd. Alright, the first map mode is development. Here's the world development. Pretty much what it should be. All of the colored provinces are in China and India. We have a couple colored provinces. Fez and Tlemcen. Fez has 88 development, which is the second highest development in our country, behind Tlemcen, who has 94 development. Alright, starting with pop, Fez has 387,000 people living in it, and there's 155,000 peasants growing. They're growing at 1,160 per year, and there's a little bit migrating into that province. Residents, there's 1,500 migration into the province, 218,000 total residents, and there's 800 residents dying. That is because we have amenities rank 3 in this province, which puts a soft cap of urban housing at 80,000, and there's 218,000 people living here, so we're more than double over that cap. As you can see, it's not a hard cap, but the higher you get above that cap, the quicker your residents will start dying. It says, supports a higher residence population through urban housing, raising the threshold before urban death rates increase. So our death rate has increased a lot since we're losing 800 per year, but we are getting migration that is offsetting some of that. So I've been trying to build amenities for a long time. It's finally down to 2 units, so I don't know if it's because it says parallelism 3. That's because I was constructing 3 things at once, which makes me think that's part of the gripe I have with the parallelism system. It still says parallelism 3. I don't know if that actually does anything, but it doesn't change when you actually build a building, because we were building amenities, capital, and I think pathing at one point, so it was 3. And I have no way that I know of to change that to 1. But anyway, that's another thing. Infrastructure in Fez, farmlands is pretty much developed for the most part. There's a little bit left. They're not making a whole lot. That's probably why there's a lot of people moving into the province. 500 peasants migrating. So that should balance itself out, and forestries are at about half. Industrial property, there's 944 industrial property, 286 academic, and 243 commercial, and they're making pretty good money. 331 ducats. The luxury cloth industry in Fez is 566 units, so that's a massive luxury cloth industry. And then textile and armaments are both above 100 at 138 and 146. Higher education is 267, commerce 243. Those are the industry highlights. The luxury cloth industry, its profitability is only 22%, but it actually makes about 117 ducats a year. And textile makes about 50-ish ducats, and armaments industry is actually negative. So once we actually build amenities rank 4, hopefully we can get some residents to stop dying so that they also grow faster, and then that'll also make these industries more profitable. The industry outputs, don't have much to say about this. We produce 25 units of luxury output, some food. Here's the unrest, concerns, treatment, and education. No red. So our hierarchy is pretty much 0. Our spirituality is about 0. Consultation, 1.24. Welfare is actually pretty good at 4.19 in this province. Education output, it doesn't say anything, and literacy doesn't say anything either, so those might just be in the game, but actually not in the game, I imagine, since they say nothing. There's a little bit of corruption there. Elites. The nobles control most of the power in this province. Military. Provincial administration. We pay 129 ducats for manpower in this province. Or is that for realm? That actually might be the total realm. We pay 40 ducats for infrastructure in the province. Alright, I switched to a map mode that just shows my province's development and not the world development. I think this better portrays it. So the first most developed province in our country is Tlemcen. Yet interestingly, it only has an important center of trade. Fez also only has a major center of trade as well. Tlemcen has 431,000 people living in it, natural change of about 1,000, and migration close to 2,000. Peasantry 143,000. Residents 268,000. The amenities cap is 200,000, so Tlemcen is also over the cap. To go from 4 to 5 would increase the urban housing by about 600,000. So I think if I did that, that would pretty much set Tlemcen for a long time. How much would that cost? I imagine it would cost a lot. I'll do rank 5 plus an extra unit. Actually, only 2,000 ducats. That's not bad. I might do that once I loot a country. I've spent a lot of my money so far, actually, just on irrigation and infrastructure. So I'll hold off on that for now, but I probably want to do that. And then I can start getting that built. Since they are over that cap, but they're not dying. They're actually increasing their residents by 245 per year, plus that migration. So they're doing okay, but it's probably better if I start now so I don't get into a position like Fez where I try to build amenities for a long time and I fail to do so. Let's see, some nobles, burghers, clergy. Seems like the nobles, burghers, and clergy are always sub 10,000. There's not a whole lot of them. Their power is concentrated in a few hands. The infrastructure in Tlemcen, 250 units of farmland. That's at its max. That makes about 100 ducats a year. So that's pretty developed. It also has irrigation rank 4, so that's part of the reason why they make a lot of money from farmlands. The industry is actually higher than Fez at 940. Academic 153 and commerce 219. So they make 549 compared to Fez, which makes 333. So they actually make, that's why it has more development. They make more money from districts as well. Let's see, I opened up a houseware industry in Tlemcen. I opened up a lot of houseware because I'm actually negative in houseware. So Tlemcen has carpets. I think that's where a lot of that comes from. 329 units of carpets, close to 300 units of processed materials, and 252 units of textiles. So Fez has a huge luxury cloth industry. Tlemcen has a little bit more spread out industries between those three: textile, carpet, and processed materials. Higher education industry, 136. Their textile industry makes about 115 ducats. Carpet industry makes about 140-ish. Processed materials makes about 100. So those are three solid industries. Important center of trade. think the diversions are the same. Nobles control a lot of the... they have a lot of power in Tlemcen. But it is dropping. It's dropping for everybody, actually. State reach is increasing. Our revenue in Tlemcen is 162 ducats. We own 20% of the commercial property, 16% of the academic property, and 22.5% of the industrial property. 211 units of property in Tlemcen. The residents own 63%, so the residents are actually making... That might be why they're not dying, because they make 156 ducats from the industry here, so they probably are able to spend more on their needs. And their tax rate is also pretty low as well. Yeah, they make... The residents in Tlemcen have 13,000 ducats of property. They make... So they save about 100 to 200 ducats every year. Meanwhile, the peasants are in a deficit. The nobles are in a deficit, it looks like, as well, but that's not their only income. They also siphon income from the peasants, which I don't think shows up here. And the burghers are about even, or around there at least. Yeah, so Tlemcen is actually a pretty good province. I think that's because they had good infrastructure when I took over. So I have to make a note to build rank 4 amenities there. Alright, so there's those two provinces which are both above 80 development, and then there's like a steep drop off where I think the next highest development is in the 40s. I think it's this province, 48. And it's actually Alexandria at 49. I think these, I'll just briefly look at them. So Alexandria has a lot of people migrating out of it, and the natural change is negative. I really haven't done anything in this province because it's not a full core yet, so I can't even select it. But they have amenities rank 4, garrison rank 4, irrigation rank 2, harborage rank 5. I imagine most of that stuff is probably decreasing because I haven't been able to put any money into that because I can't select the province. 241,000 total people. Residents are migrating out. See, the residents are migrating out and they're dying. So even though the urban housing is at 200,000, their life needs are not being met, which is also why in Tlemcen they're growing even when they're above the soft cap, because they have a lot of money, so they're able to get their life needs. Industry, not a whole lot of industry. I haven't been able to invest much. Pretty small industry in this province, but it does have a dominant center of trade. So that's Alexandria. Tunis has 156,000 people, 92,000 residents. Good natural change, good migration going on. Rank 3 amenities. So I could build level 4 amenities. There's rank 5 irrigation in this province, so they only have 61 units of farmlands, but they're making 32 ducats from that because of that rank 5 irrigation. 395 units of industrial property. Looks like they have mostly carpets. Carpet is the only one that's above 100. That carpet industry makes a small profit of 30 ducats. Dominant center of trade. And the nobles control most of that province. Algeciras, 48 development. 186,000 people living here. 95,000 peasants, 80,000 residents. The natural change of the residents is not great. The amenities is rank 2. I've been trying to build that as well, like Fez. It's at 3 units left, so that should go up to rank 3. If I was going to move my capital, I was thinking I was going to move it here. So I'd want to get amenities rank 4 as well, and a capital. So that might cause some problems. Looks like their district income is not that great. They have carpet industry at almost 200 units. Makes a little bit of profit. Higher education is actually negative, interestingly. Dominant center of trade. Nobles have most of the power. Alright, Siberia 44 development. There's 191,000 people living here. Good natural change, good migration. Rank 4 amenities. I think I just built this. That just finished. Residents 120,000, so they're way below their cap. There's good natural change. People are migrating to the province. The resources, they don't make a whole lot of money. I think I've started putting some money in here so the balance is offset, so that's going to be negative for a little bit. Industrial property is also negative as well. Academic property is 128 ducats, so that's pretty good. Yeah, not a whole lot of industry here. Oh wait, no, actually luxury cloth is 225. But negative. Not enough residents in the province. And then all of the rural industry is negative as well. Higher education is pretty good, plus 243% profitability. And then after that, I think those are the ones that are in the 40s. Everything after that is smaller. And then there's a whole bunch of these like little tiny provinces that have between 20 to 35-ish development, which are pretty much about the same. Around 66,000 residents in Tangier, 68,000 in Quetta, $68,000 over here in Waran. So they're about all the same. About rank 2 development, rank 2 amenities. I could build amenities in all these provinces, but I think you don't have to build amenities in every province. I think it's better to focus on 1 or 2 provinces in an area and build up amenities to rank 4 or 5 in those areas and try to focus on those as being your producers. Lisbon does make a lot of money from farmlands. Rank 5 irrigation. Not a lot of industry though, which is pretty much the same for all those provinces. And then pretty much all the provinces down here don't really have a whole lot of development either. So looking at the development map mode, look at some of the other provinces around the world. Paris has 145 development. There's about 846,000 people living in Paris, 557,000 residents. They have rank 5 amenities. That is a good province. They only make 7.5 ducats though. They really have no taxes going on in this province. Their industry in this province is 1,105 units. I can't actually look at it because I don't control the province, so you can't scroll in provinces that you don't control. But they make 1,000 ducats from their districts. That's a lot of money right there. That is the best province in Europe. Unless Cairo beats it, but then Cairo's in Africa anyway, so... Cairo has 508,000 residents living in it. I definitely want to take Cairo. I think if I fight the Mamluks next, I'll try to grab Cairo. Because I think it's only 25 aggressive expansion to grab Cairo, even though it's 135 development. But this is a really nice province that I like to add to my country. Close to 1 million people living here. The industrial units, 854, they make about 738 ducats from their districts. They make a lot of money. 242 ducats from their farmlands. That's a lot of ducats right there. Irrigation rank 4. It's that Nile. I imagine most of the provinces on the Nile make a lot of money from farmlands. 168 ducats right there. 112 ducats right there. 120 ducats. Yeah, the Nile is a historically was a breadbasket for grain and then cotton later on in its life. India. There's a couple provinces in India with above 100 development. This province has 1.1 million, close to 1.2 million people living in it. I think this is Vijayanagara's capital. Yeah, Vijayanagara. They make about 600 ducats from their districts, 183 ducats from farmlands. It has metal. They make a lot of money from metal. Let's get back to that development map mode. This province has 128 development, only 577,000 people living here. 275,000 residents. They make 1,300 ducats from their industry, from their urban industry. Interestingly, they only have carpet. They only have 382 units of carpet. Those must be some premier carpets that they're building right there to fetch that. Yeah, they make 1,800 ducats. Their output, carpet output, is 1,800 ducats. Their carpet industry is so much better than ours. We have a carpet industry size 329, so it's a little bit less than theirs. But we only output 18 units, 19 units, that sells for 482. They output 26 units that sell for 1851. I guess, interestingly, carpet or luxury demand is higher in India than Europe. Maybe because there's more population over here, so it's causing that to be higher over here. I would think it would be the opposite, though. Higher in Europe than India. Alright, and then China. I'm looking for the most developed province over here. I think it's this province. 204 units. There's a weird Three Kingdoms thing going on in China right now. There's Lingnan, Han, and Zhao. And it's kind of like a Cold War thing going on. They don't want to fight each other. Zhao has all of the tributary states. But Han has the most populous province, or the most developed province, I should say. 1.1 million people living here. 346,000 residents, 700,000 peasants. They have a huge mine industry here, making salt and metal. 304 ducats from farmlands in this province. Only 621 ducats from districts. They have a huge textile industry, 290 units. Their commerce industry is 1,137 units. So they have a dominant center of trade. I think if there was another, this province should really be higher than dominant with 1,137 units of commerce. because that is massive. Where's Beijing? I think this is Beijing. My Chinese geography isn't that great, but I think this is Beijing. It does have 1 million residents, growing at 2.6 per year, and 3,000 people migrating into it. They make 1,223 ducats from districts. They make no money from resources, so all the development from this province is because of districts. They have a textile industry that is 742 units, houseware industry 487 units, processed materials 345, and ship 273. Commerce 756, higher education 369. That is a massive, massive province right there. Yeah, this province has 70 development from rural, whereas this province is all urban. That would be a great province to loot right there. Alright, so now I'm going to look at the census for our country. We have 6.7 million tenants, which I assume is households, and 700,000 nomads. 1.9 million residents. We're losing residents at 1,784 per year. I think most of that is from Fez. Nobles are 217,000, burghers 70,000, clergy 75,000. We have 58.2 million people living in our country. So that is a pretty good, sizable base right there, 58 million people. Our tenant wealth, our tenants have 14 ducats per capita. Their average income is 1.5 and their average spending is 1.7, so they're actually negative. They're at a deficit. Nomads per capita wealth 45. Those nomads are very rich. Their spending is way higher than their income, but they're nomads, so who cares? Residents per capita wealth 45. Their income is a lot higher than their spending. Just not in Fez, because they're dying in Fez. Nobles per capita wealth 610. Their spending is higher than their income, but who cares, because they're nobles. Kill the nobles. Burgher per capita wealth 694 ducats. Their spending is way less than their income. And the clergy 262 per capita wealth, average income 14, spending 13, so they're doing pretty good. I'd like to bump up tenant wealth a little bit because they're negative. So I think I could either try to bump up their income or try to reduce their spending by making goods cheaper, which we have a massive food deficit still. It's just increasing. I'm trying to build irrigation and invest in farmlands, and it's just not enough. I was hoping Africa would be more of a breadbasket than it is, but these provinces and a lot of these provinces over here just have good farmland. Not good farmland. They have good forests. Some of them, pretty much all the ones over here are just like forests for the most part. 602 units of forest in this province, 107 units of farmlands. Most of the provinces over here actually have good forests and farmlands, but none of these are cored, so I can't actually really start building irrigation and investing much ducats. Salt is pretty good. Fiber is negative. Fuel is negative. Fuel should improve from the coal provinces that we opened up. Raw material is good. Exotic goods is negative, but that's generally going to be negative. You really have to trade for those unless you conquer provinces in the east. Consumer goods is negative. That's why I opened up a lot of housewares in my developed cities. Military is negative as well. Naval is good. Industrial is good. Luxury is good. And knowledge is good. So massive food deficit that I'm trying to work on. And then some other things like housewares that I'm trying to work on as well. Our total development is 1746, which is 221 rural development, 713 urban development, and 812 upper class developments. I'm not sure if that's actually true in terms of the upper class developments. I don't think it is. But that should increase as we annex Granada and Sanhaja. We're almost done with Sanhaja. We're about 3/4 of the way there. So this is our country right now. I have Sanhaja as a vassal, which I'm annexing. I have Sicily as a vassal, which I'm going to give them Aragon. And then I have Granada as a vassal, which I'm going to annex as well. We're allied to Galicia and the Turkish Empire. I'm going to eventually break with Galicia. I'm thinking of conquering all of Hispania up until this mountain range, the Pyrenees. And then I think I want these islands, this island, Crete, Cyprus. And then I might take some of Italy. I'll probably just like take Naples maybe, reach a point and then just stop. And then possibly like the French Mediterranean coast. That depends on where I am elsewhere in the world, but because I also want to take all of the Mamluks up to here. And then all of Africa, Madagascar, and then like the coastline over here, which I can just take from those expeditions, which just automatically gives, well, not automatically, but potentially you can take provinces without going to war. So I'll try to take the coastline over in the west. The great powers in the world. We are second rank great power behind Zhao. They have 6,297 developments. We have 1,811. And then third is Han. They're missing commercialization and casual literacy. In terms of the Europeans, France is really a distant second between us. About 800 development difference between the two. And then the next one is the Commonwealth at 7th, who is a distant 7th at 790. So yeah, we're pretty good with the great powers, at least in terms of Europe. If some of these guys get techs, they might leapfrog us. We're actually the third developed, even including techs, so I think we're good in that regard. In terms of the rest of the world, England has just started colonizing now. Portugal and Castile, I've locked out of colonizing. And France apparently seems... Okay, now they took exploration. So France should actually be colonizing soon as well. I'm going to send my next expeditions to, I think, Mexico. That Mexican area. Because I want Colombian imports. And then I'm going to try to attack England and take their provinces here so they don't get this. Because it can spawn, but nobody in the world has a colonial subject. So I'm going to send my next expeditions to here, and then I'm going to try to... Once that colonial nation forms, I can start conquering this area. And I do have a lot of heavy, so I should be able to defeat England's navy. Unfortunately, England allied with Galicia, so I'm going to have to break with Galicia earlier than I wanted to. And then they're also allied to Burgundy, who's just a small power up there. Austria and the Turkish Empire have carved up Hungary like they did in history. So that's interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I always see Austria conquering in the HRE and hardly ever conquering Hungary. The Commonwealth did form. Looks like Muscovy's been... They were neutered. They never got going. Novgorod still exists in 1521. And the Turkish Empire really doesn't want to conquer this way either, which is interesting. The Retinids are still around. They might start. So I'll probably fight England and then swing over to the Mamluks and try to take the Mamluk Heartland before the Turkish Empire does. I think everything else looks the same for the most part. Or, not the same, but the usual. So I'll continue conquering down here as well, and then try to take these provinces from England so I can spawn whatever that institution is. Colombian imports. It's not that huge, because even if England grabs it, I think I should get it relatively quickly as well. Because all it takes to spawn is commercialization present, you have a port, and the trade value is greater than or equal to 5. But it'd still be nice to have it spawn in my country, because I hardly ever stay on spawning techs, spawning institutions in my country. I could be better at that. Oh, it looks like England. England grabbed a province all the way over here. Interesting. And they grabbed this one too. So England just leapfrogged this entire area and just went over here. That's a interesting play by England. Alright, well, I'm going to end this part here and pick up the next part. We're about right here, actually, so close to India, to getting provinces in India. I decided to go sector by sector, unlike England, who just jumped over here. Alright, I'm going to end this part now and pick up the next part. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.